Okay, morning boys and girls. It's Miss Pat at the Benson Library again with another session of reading time together. Today I have a special friend with me. This is Candance.
Hi.
And Candance has been coming to the library with her family for a very long time. You may have met or you're going to meet her brother Jace, who also has been a guest with me. So, what are you going to make today, Candance?
We're going to make a butterfly.
Okay, and what are we going to use for supplies?
We're going to use markers, pipe cleaners, and coffee filter.
You have okay. So show the boys and girls how you do it with a coffee filter. Okay.
So you kind of take the coffee filter and then flatten it out, and then you color it with any marker.
If I didn't have markers, what else could I use?
You can use colored pencils, crayons.
Yeah. We could even use paint, couldn't we? If we were really crazy. Yeah, we could really use lots of different kinds of materials to make the colors of the butterfly wings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. You could probably leave the tops off until you're done.
Yeah.
Okay? Just put them on the table and you'll be all good to go. Yeah. Now, one of the things people say, no, why are you making a butterfly in the fall? And I say, have you ever noticed how many butterflies are around in the fall? So you see how Candance has used lots of different colors and is going to make the butterfly very interesting. When she finishes it, you'll see how those colors are going to be so vibrant. Now, when I did the model for this one that's sitting here, you know what I did? I used shapes. So I made triangles and rectangles and ovals and squares and all kinds of different shapes. And then I made squigglies in between and dots. So mine is so different, and Candance, I just love the way you're doing it. I have to tell you that Candance, when she was younger, before she went to school. Okay, so what do we do next?
Then we take a colored pipe cleaner. I'm going to use green.
Oh,
and then you kind of wrap it around.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can kind of create its antennae.
Oh, wow, look at you. That is, oh, I didn't know that's how you did that. How about that? You're so talented. Oh, wow, look at that. I'll hold it up so everybody can see it once you're finished. Getting it all right. Oh, wow, that
and
is...
you have a tiny little butterfly.
That is so beautiful. Nice job. Can you now read for us?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
So this book is called Pete the Cat and the Cool Caterpillar. Pete is on a bug safari. He and his friends are looking for bugs. How many bugs can they find? Callie spots a tiny black ant. It's building an anthill, she says. Groovy, says Pete. Gus finds a round red ladybug in the mint patch. It has 9 spots, said Gus. Nice, said Pete. Marty sees a big black spider. It's caught a fly, he says. Neat, says Pete. Pete finds a green caterpillar in the flower pot. I will bring you home to show Mom and Dad, he says. Mom helps Pete build a little home for the caterpillar. They use a big jar. Dad puts a lot of little holes in the lid for air. Pete puts the caterpillar in the jar. Pete puts some leaves in the jar for the caterpillar to eat. He adds a twig for it to crawl on. "Good night, Pete," says Mom. "Good night, Pete," says Dad. "Good night, Caterpillar," says Pete. When Pete wakes up, the caterpillar is gone. "Where did it go? Did it run away?" "It's not gone," says Mom. It did not run away," said Dad. "Look, there," says. "Look," they say. "The caterpillar is inside there," said Mom. "It's called a pupa." "Will it stay in there forever?" Pete asked. "No," says Dad. "The caterpillar is changing into something new." "What will it become?" Pete asked. "It's a surprise," said Mom. We must wait and see." Pete waits. Callie comes to visit. "Did it come out yet?" she asked. "Not yet," said Pete. Pete waits some more. Gus comes to visit. "Did it come out yet?" he said. "Not yet," said Pete. Pete waits even longer. Marty comes to visit. "Did it come out yet?" he asked. "Not yet," said Pete. Pete waits and waits and waits. Then one day, something finally happens. A head pokes out, then some legs, and then 2 colorful wings. The caterpillar changed into a beautiful butterfly. "Wow," said Pete. The butterfly slowly moved its wings up and down. "It is ready to fly." They take the jar to the park. "Time to say goodbye," said Dad. Pete opens the jar lid of the jar. The butterfly flaps its wings. It flutters out of the jar and lands on Pete's nose. "That tickles," he said. The butterfly flies up into the sky. "Bye-bye, butterfly," everyone says. "Let's find a new caterpillar," says Pete. "Change is pretty cool." And that was Pete the Cat and the Cool Caterpillar. The next book is called Pete the Cat, Trick or Pete. It's Halloween. Pete the Cat is excited to go trick-or-treating in his superhero costume. "I hope nothing too spooky happens," says Pete. "Don't worry," says Pete's dad. We have our flashlights. "Let's go trick-or-treating," says Pete. Boo. Pete and his dad walked outside. Whoosh! The wind rustled the leaves. Pete sees something moving in the trees. "It's just an owl. That's not too spooky," said Pete. They arrived at the neighbor's house. Pete rings the bell. He hears a strange sound coming to the door. "It's just Callie," Pete says. She's not too spooky." Callie joins Pete and his dad trick-or-treating. At the next house, there is something in the yard. "Phew, it's just a scarecrow," says Pete. "That's not too spooky." Pete rings the doorbell. "Trick or treat," says Pete and Callie. Awesome costume, says Pete. Very spooky, but not too spooky. Thank you, says Mrs. Gold, the crossing guard. At the next house, there is something glowing on the steps. Cool, says Pete. Jack-o'-lanterns. Callie rings the doorbell. Trick or treat, Pete and Callie, said Pete and Callie. It's Pete's teacher. One piece of candy each, she said. Suddenly, they hear something behind them. What was that? Asked Callie. Oh, it's just our friend Emma, said Pete. Not spooky, but groovy. One last house, and then we'll go home, said Pete's dad. Pete rings the doorbell. Ding dong. Yikes, it's a spooky ghost, screams Pete. Don't be silly, Pete. It's just me, says Grandma. Callie and Pete go trick and hugs. Trick-or-treating wasn't too spooky at all. It was actually full of sweet surprises. Happy Halloween. Thank you, boys and girls, and make sure to join us next Wednesday for another session of Crafts and Books.